The Bell Hotel in Epping, just outside of London, gets no new bookings, yet it is full every night. Its once welcoming sign, slightly tilted now, creaks in the wind that drifts down from the hills. Behind the curtained windows, the rooms glow faintly under government-issued bulbs, each one occupied not by travelers or tourists, but by souls in limbo. Since 2020, the Bell has been more than a hotel. It has been a waiting room for the unwanted. A place where people with nowhere else to go are told to wait, to hope, and to disappear quietly into the system. The locals used to call it the Bell Inn, a cozy stopover where families came for Sunday roasts. Now, they call it the Asylum Hotel. And no one says it with kindness. Save the hoteliers, no one is happy. Not the government, who spends millions on contracts to keep this strange arrangement alive. Not the local councils, who complain about overreach and unsustainable costs. Not the asylum seekers themselves, trapped in endless waiting. And not the people of Epping, who have begun to say, more and more loudly, that their town no longer feels like theirs. From time to time, this quiet resentment boils over. It's always something small at first, a rumor, a headline, a story retold in the pub. But last month, in Epping, something happened that would split the town in two. Something that would turn the Bell Hotel into a symbol of everything people feared about the future of Britain. It began on a humid evening in July. The sun was setting slow, the streets sticky with heat and the smell of takeaway chips. A girl, 14 years old, was walking home along the high street when a man approached her. What happened next was brief, confusing, and horrifying. Within hours, police had arrested an asylum seeker from Ethiopia named Hadush Kabatu. The charges: sexual assault, harassment, and inciting a minor to engage in sexual activity. He denied everything. But the damage was done. Epping woke the next morning to headlines that turned a local story into a national scandal. The front page of the Daily Mail blared, "Asylum Hotel Horror in Epping." By noon, talk radio lines were flooded. By nightfall, protesters were outside the Bell Hotel. Some held signs demanding justice. Others came for something darker. For many, the story of Hadush Kabatu was proof of everything they'd been warning about, that the government had lost control, that their communities were being changed without consent, that danger was hiding in plain sight. For others, it was the tragic consequence of a broken system that crushed people until they broke. But to the people trapped inside the Bell, it was something else entirely. It was the end of safety. Among them was a young man named Mohammed Qadir. He was 24, from Somalia, with soft eyes and a voice that barely rose above a whisper. He said it took him 3 years to get here. 3 years of running, of sleeping in trucks, under bridges, in the cold. He'd made it through Sudan, through Libya, across the Mediterranean, and then Europe, before finding himself in Dunkirk. There, he paid the last of his savings, $1,000, to a smuggler who promised him a place on a dinghy. The boat was barely seaworthy. 70 men crammed into it. The waves were high and black, the air thick with salt and fear. Mohammed said it was the longest hour of his life. But then, through the mist, he saw it, the faint white cliffs. England. Safety. Or so he thought. When he arrived, he was taken to a processing center, fingerprinted, questioned, photographed, and then sent to Epping. To the Bell. He couldn't work. Asylum seekers had lost that right years ago. So he waited. And waited. The walls of his room grew smaller every week. But he kept his head down, played football with the others, smiled at the shopkeepers. He thought he was doing everything right. Then came the incident. And the world outside the hotel changed overnight. People who once ignored him now stared. Some shouted. Others crossed the street. Someone threw a beer can at him as he walked to the corner shop. "Go home," they yelled. But home was gone. The protesters outside grew in number. Each night, their chants echoed through the car park, mixing with the distant hum of motorway traffic. They weren't just shouting at the government anymore. They were shouting at the building itself. "Get him out," they yelled. "Close it down." Inside, fear became a constant presence. Some of the men stopped going out altogether. They huddled in the common room, scrolling their phones, reading every new article, every new comment thread. Each word made them smaller. Then came Tuesday, the day of the ruling. At 10:45 a.m., the Epping Council won its case in the High Court. The judge ruled that the Bell Hotel had breached its planning permission, that housing asylum seekers was not a lawful use under its current license. Within 6 weeks, the building had to be cleared. 138 people would have to go somewhere else. The locals erupted in celebration. Cars drove past the hotel honking their horns. Someone shouted, "About time." Another yelled, "Get Starmer gone." And over it all, a single name rose like a chant, Nigel. Nigel Farage, the ever-smiling architect of populist rage, had already declared it a great victory. On his nightly show, he grinned into the camera. "This is just the beginning," he said. "It's time for communities across Britain to take back control." His words lit up social media. Across the country, groups began planning peaceful protests outside migrant hotels. But everyone knew what peaceful often turned into. The Bell Hotel was now the spark in a field of dry grass. The next weekend, rallies were announced in 12 towns. Telegram groups buzzed with plans. Fake accounts spread stories about asylum seekers stealing, attacking, and loitering near schools. In Southport, a protest turned to riot. Someone torched a hotel with people still inside. In Manchester, a crowd threw bricks at a police van. And in Epping, the protesters returned, bigger, louder, angrier. Eddie and Elaine, who had lived in the area for 15 years, said they'd never seen anything like it. "This summer," Elaine said, "is the worst it's ever been. You can feel it in the air. People are scared, and scared people do stupid things." Eddie nodded. "No one thinks it's a good idea to have 150 men in that hotel, right next to a school. It's not safe." But when asked where those men should go, he paused. "I don't know. Camps, maybe. Purpose-built places. Not here." As night fell, flags appeared along the road to the hotel, white and red, the St. George's Cross, fluttering under streetlights. To some, it was patriotism. To others, a warning. Inside, Mohammed watched from his window. The flags made his stomach twist. He'd seen flags before, in Mogadishu, in Tripoli, in Calais. They always meant someone was about to get hurt. He began to pack, even though no one had told him to leave yet. His few belongings, a phone, a wallet, a folded piece of paper with his refugee claim number, went into a small backpack. He didn't know where he would go next. But he knew what came next. He'd seen it happen before. The Home Office released a statement saying it would appeal the ruling. It warned that the decision would substantially impact its ability to house asylum seekers across the UK. The government promised to close all asylum hotels by 2029, but not like this. Not with protests, fire, and court battles. They wanted it to be managed and orderly. But nothing about this was orderly anymore. By now, more than 210 hotels across Britain were housing over 32,000 asylum seekers. Each one was a potential Epping waiting to happen. Each one a headline waiting to explode. For Farage, this chaos was gold. Every viral clip, every angry crowd, every nervous politician trying to explain themselves, it all played into his hands. He appeared in front of cameras outside the Bell Hotel, shaking hands, smiling, soaking in the adoration. "This is people power," he declared. "This is Britain saying enough." For Mohammed, the same crowd was a nightmare. As Farage's convoy left, he looked out and saw children among the protesters, some no older than 10, waving flags and shouting. The idea that they saw him, not as a man but as a monster, tore at him. "They say innocent until proven guilty," he whispered. "But now, it's the opposite. You are guilty until proven innocent. Because you are an immigrant." His asylum interview had been delayed twice already. Now, it was postponed indefinitely. There weren't enough caseworkers, not enough translators. The system was collapsing under its own weight. Each year, thousands applied. Each year, thousands waited. And waited. Some had been waiting for 5 years. Outside, the protests continued. Some nights, locals brought their cars and parked along the road, just to sit and watch the hotel. Others hurled insults from their windows. A few threw bottles. Then, one night, someone threw a flare. It hit the ground near the main entrance, lighting the brick wall red. Security rushed out and stamped it out, but the message was clear. "You're next," someone shouted. "We'll burn it like the others." The next morning, extra police arrived. Temporary barriers were put up, but that only made the place look more like a prison. Days turned to weeks. The ruling date crept closer. September 12th. That was when they'd have to go. Mohammed stopped sleeping properly. He kept dreaming of the sea, the endless waves, the dark water. In the dreams, the hotel was the boat, and everyone inside was waiting for it to sink. Meanwhile, the politics spiraled. The Prime Minister called an emergency cabinet meeting. Some Labour MPs demanded the government find humane alternatives. Others quietly agreed with the court. Reform UK doubled its membership in a week. Faraj's face was everywhere. The Bell Hotel had become a symbol, not of compassion or failure, but of division. When September 12th arrived, the sun rose pale and cold. By 7 a.m., news crews were parked outside. By 9, vans from the Home Office pulled in. Men filed out of the building, clutching bags, eyes down. No one spoke. Locals watched from the pavement. Some clapped. Some cried. Mohammed was among the last to leave. He turned one last time to look at the building that had been both his shelter and his cage. Then he stepped onto the bus. He didn't know where it was going. The Bell stood silent again. Empty, but not clean. The windows still glowed faintly that night, though no one was inside. Maybe it was just the street lights. Or maybe it was something else, the ghosts of waiting, of anger, of lives paused in place. Weeks later, the council announced plans to refurbish the building. There were talks of reopening it as a heritage hotel. But even then, some locals whispered they wouldn't stay there. Bad energy, they said. You can feel it when you walk past. For the government, the nightmare had just begun. Dozens of councils were preparing their own legal challenges, each one a new fire to put out. And somewhere, far from Epping, in a cold, nameless hostel, Mohammed waited again. He told a journalist who found him there, "It doesn't matter where they move us. It will be the same everywhere. The same looks. The same fear." He was right. Because the Bell Hotel was never just a place. It was a mirror. It reflected the truth about Britain, a country at war with itself. About who belonged. About who didn't. And as long as there are more boats, more walls, and more waiting rooms, the story will keep repeating. The names will change. The towns will change. But the fear will stay the same. In the end, the Bell Hotel became more than a building. It became a wound, a silent monument to promises broken and compassion lost. A place that once offered rest to travelers, and now offers a warning to a nation standing at the edge of its own humanity. Because the Bell Hotel may be empty tonight, but its story is still full.